course. Let's go first to you then, Daniel, if we may. There was a golden visa question that came up, and perhaps you can address that if Jose joins us again on this call, which I think he will. But how are you doing, Daniel? What's going on in the world of law?
Well, quite all right. Long day today. Started at
Let's
8.
go first to
Oh,
you
hold on,
then,
Daniel. Let me just mute
Daniel,
that. I
if
beg
we
your pardon.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, mate. That always happens, doesn't it? I haven't found out a seamless way to do that yet. Go ahead.
I was hearing some echo, so all is good now, correct?
All is well. All is well.
Good. So long day today. Started at 8, still at the office, but a fun day nonetheless. A lot of real estate situations at the current moment. So enjoying myself and enjoying the assisting clients in purchasing properties in Portugal. Can't complain.
You were name checked in the last call, actually, as helping somebody out with a property buy, which is great. So you can do that, of course, conveyancing for people and helping them buy and secure property here in Portugal. And that and anything else to do with the law here in Portugal. Questions, please, to Daniel on that subject. Anything notable from the election campaigns, the various election campaigns here in Daniel, that you might want to share?
Gotta be honest, I didn't have time today to see the newspaper, so I have no idea. That's you probably know more.
It's probably best. Right, okay, yeah. Fair enough. Let's go to Nuno if we can. Good evening to you, Nuno. How are you?
Hello, good evening. Good evening, Carl. Good evening, everyone. So, starting for the very important news, right?
Where is everybody? So, Nuno, let's just pause you there for a moment. Where is everybody else?
Everyone's in the waiting room. There's no one here yet.
And I can't see the waiting room at the moment. So
I've got to admit them. I was wondering where everyone was. I'm going to let them all in.
I think that might be you there now that I've done my thing with the okay, everyone's coming in now. So Nuno, go ahead. How are you doing?
Everyone.
Oh, now I've asked him to go ahead.
So, I'm okay. I'm frozen. Are you hearing me?
You're okay again now. We'll get past these glitches in due course this evening. We'll get there. Don't worry, everybody. So go ahead, Nuno. Tell us how you're doing and how's the world of insurance.
Okay, so everything okay. Starting for the very, very important news. So the only club of Portugal is playing now and is winning. So Benfica is from a neighborhood, Porto is from a city, and Sporting is from Portugal. So this is the most important news. Now, seriously, we are having severe weather. So my recommendation is check your insurance policies with your broker, with your bank, because plenty of insurance policies don't cover severe weather. And we are talking about auto insurance, home insurance, or health insurance. Okay. One news that I believe that, well, is not directly related with insurance, but it reflects the level of the healthcare that you can find in Portugal. So it was announced today that some weeks ago in Portugal, doctors did the first robotic liver transplant in Europe and the second worldwide. Okay.
Wow.
So I believe that this reflects the level of the healthcare in Portugal. Of course, this means more expensive healthcare expenses and also higher insurance premiums. It is what it is, but at least the healthcare is insured. Okay.
Very good.
And basically this.
But if we see you very animated, because your attention may be a little split this evening with Sporting in action. If we see you move suddenly, it's because Sporting are up. Okay, and well done Porto last night. Sorry to mention that in the same breath, Nuno there. But, maybe not so much for Steve Flack. Not a happy man. Are you a Gunners fan?
I am, unfortunately, after watching last night, sitting here with my boy, and then no, next thing you know, there's a goal. So
that's
we'll have
extraordinary. That is extraordinary, isn't it? And what a night to be here with live streaming to Portugal when Porto have just been. I'm sorry to keep rubbing it in and keep mentioning it, Steve, but that's awful. A quirk of timing there. So how are you? And apart from that, how are you? And how are things in currency?
Yeah, no, all good this end. Yeah, it's been, I wouldn't say it's very volatile at the moment with the euro dollar or with sterling euro either at the moment. You've probably only seen in the last month around a cent movement one way or the other. So it's almost, you could almost draw a line through it. So there's not lots of volatility. Hearing today, what I read today with regards to the US they were keeping their interest rates. They might keep them higher for a bit longer, so you may see a little bit of strength with the dollar, hopefully. But obviously, it's very data dependent until they actually say yes, this is what we're doing. We won't know. But yeah, I mean, other than that, yeah, it's been like I say, not been that volatile. So.
Okay, all right. And a very good point has been coming up just recently when we spoke to Sarah last week. For people who want to keep their money in their investments in the US, for example, you can do a forward contract and just pay part of the money and secure a rate if you are concerned that things are going to be changing over the next few months, which they probably will do, right, Steve, to be fair?
Yeah, I mean it's a good way. We've got lots of clients that have been doing that. With how good interest rates are, we've got lots of clients that think to themselves, okay, look, let's lock in the rate while it's still relatively good. I can earn interest on most of my money, leave 10% just to hold the rate, and then you've got depending on how long forward you want to go, you wait till that time and you're still earning your interest. You know where you stand with your contract. You've got a good rate as well. So there is lots and lots of clients that have looked at that option as well. So yeah, it seems to be very popular because of the interest rates.
Very good. All right. Thanks for being here. Any other questions you might have on currency? Let's put those to Steve this evening. A part of the dream team, of course, here tonight, alongside Gilda Pereira, the Queen of the Visas. How are you? Your team did an amazing job in the last hour and a half, Gilda. You'll be very proud of them.
Did you like?
Yes, I think you were called the fearless leader or something along those lines. You were spoken of very highly in the last 90 minutes, and they were superb. Yes, Renata and Carolina did a great job. So well done to them. Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, good, good. What's new? I found out from them what's going on in the world of visas. Very thorough, and that will be published on our YouTube channel at 6 o'clock on Sunday night. Have you anything to add from your day at work today?
Yes, I think that after we felt that after the NHR seeing that many people were afraid and the things slow down a bit, but now these past 2 weeks we felt that many people began to gain interest in Portugal again, especially from United States, Canada. I don't know what's wrong with Canadians. I cannot find an explanation.
Do you want to reframe that?
I don't want. Is there any Canadian here that can explain me? Because besides the weather, I don't find another reason why there are so many Canadians wanting to move to Portugal.
Okay.
But yeah, in fact,
yes, Gail's put her hand straight up to answer that, I think. So
Gail, please explain.
Why would you want to move from Canada? Let's deal with that right now.
If you look at, I think a lot of it can be taxation too. If you look at it, Australia, I think, is number 5 or 6, and Canada's right up there for the most expensive tax places in the world. Like Luxembourg and that are high, but Australia and Canada are very high taxation.
Yes, probably. We are getting lots of Australians also.
Yes.
But the reason that they give us, it's not that. So now
does that help, Gilda? And there's
also some politics happening in Canada. There seems to be a little bit of a carryover from the United States around populist type politicians, and I think that's making Canadians nervous too.
Okay,
maybe
so Gail is part of the dream team taking questions tonight as well on behalf of Canada. Great job.
Thank you, Gail.
Great job,
Besides
Gail.
all that, we're Canadian, eh?
And you know what? Although the snow looks really pretty, I think it does wear off after a while, doesn't it? 10 foot of snow outside your front door every morning.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's not so bad when you're working, but when you're retired and have time,
yeah,
and then it's minus 30 degrees Celsius outside.
Yes.
Portugal's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons, but that's a, that ocean looks pretty good. It's not frozen over.
Yes. Yeah.
Carl
Absolutely.
can go swimming in it in what, January or February. So, hey.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gail. That's really helpful. There you go, Gilda. Anything else
Thank you.
to add from you tonight before we get cracking?
Yes, so now the consulates have been giving us a good reply. So it's just the IMA that needs to start responding in a correct way also.
Yeah, well, we heard about their plans and it's encouraging. It's going to take a little while to roll out, of course, but it was very encouraging. If you missed that, do check on the last webinar, which, as I say, will be published on Sunday evening. And we're getting great feedback already. Debbie saying in the chat, the visa meeting was great. Thanks. We've also got Vera from Mortgage Direct here tonight. Let's thank you for the time being, Gilda. Any questions about visas and migrating here to Portugal and the visa aspect? Of course, Gilda, Queen of the Visas, will answer those. Vera, how are you this evening?
Hello, good evening. How are
Hi,
you?
Vera. How's it going? Tudo bem?
Tudo bem. You?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. We've been working hard in the last 90 minutes. How's the Algarve and how's the world of mortgages?
Well, Algarve is pretty much, well, good weather. As always, regarding the mortgages, as Gilda was saying, we faced a little bit decrease of inquiries and leads lately, but this last month we've been receiving quite a lot. So things seems to be back to normal. Rates are decreasing, conditions are coming back better than the last few months, which is great. So we have more clients buying and we are able to offer better conditions.
Brilliant. Okay, so any questions about raising finance for buying property here in Portugal? Vera is here to answer those. Thanks for being here, and we'll come back to you if we get those sorts of questions tonight. Oh, last but not least, I think we've got Camilla from Winsurance here, who will be definitely answering questions behind the scenes to do with insurance. And of course, we have Carolina Muralha here from Casa Portuguesa as well. How are you, Carolina?
Good evening, Carl. Good evening, everyone. I'm very good. Thank you. I hope you're all well with this change of weather.
Yes, you've got a scarf on there. I see, and a little cough. It's a bit damp, isn't it, this evening? I don't suppose that's dampened demand for property. And is it the same sort of trend for you? Are you seeing a little bit of a drop off and a big uptick again with demand?
We see that the prices are getting higher. And the demand continues, but it's not as strong due to the prices. But we also are taking care with EI, the exchange of the driver's license, and that keeps having a good flow. So I'm here to answer all of those questions as well.
Yeah, driving licenses, very good. I forgot to mention that. So if you need a little bit of insight on driving licenses as well as finding a rental or a purchase here through Casa Portuguesa, Carolina is here to answer those questions. Great to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Now, Jose Mario was in our last call and had some golden visa questions, which I think we'll direct towards you, Daniel. Jose Mario, are you happy to unmute and chat? We are live on YouTube.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Let me put my video on so you can see my smile on face.
Excellent.
There we go. Hi again.
Hi.
Thank you. I also had a couple other little quick questions that are not specifically GV, but I'll knock those out of the way if Daniel cares to tackle them.
Go on.
Let me preface it with saying that I think I've either heard the answers to this from my own immigration attorney's office, as well as reading and following, but it gets muddy and so I wanted to try to get confirmation or answers to a couple of things that I'm not 100% clear on. And I guess the first one is, so I have my resident card already. My wife and 2 kids went over for their biometrics. I believe it was the October before last, so October 22. And so, yeah, we're I guess, over a year from actually getting our resident cards, which they tell me, I know there's been all the delays. Anyway, I guess the main question I have is, if they're not interested, at least right away, in spending more than a week every year, once their 5 years have elapsed, are they eligible for permanent residency and or citizenship at that point? And if so, would would they have to become tax residents, or are they two separate issues that do not depend on each other?
Go ahead, Daniel.
Hello, José Mario. You have quite a Portuguese name, I would say. Do you have any Portuguese?
That's my pseudonym. My middle name actually is Joseph, but I met a fellow several years ago who went by Jos, and I figured I would just add Jos Mario because I know that's Jos Maria is very common. So
it works out in Portugal. It's brilliant. So let's address your question. For the time that the residency permits are not yet issued, so for your wife and kids, they don't need to be in Portugal for the 7 days per year. So that is not a thing until the residency permit is issued. For yourself, as the residency permit was already issued to us, at least this is what I perceived,
yes.
You do need to stay in Portugal for 7 days per year to keep on renewing the residency permit. Golden Visa residency permits have a different renewal schedule than comparing to other types of residency permits. A D7 is 2 years plus 3 years. The golden visas are 2 plus 2 plus 2. And once you reach 5 years of having consecutively the residency permit, you can request the permanent residency card, and that one is valid for 5 years. So what you end up having is somewhat of a strange schedule for the golden visa. This is because of the 2 plus 2 plus 2. Once you reach 5 years plus 1 day, you can indeed request two things. The first one is the permanent residency card, and the second one is the Portuguese nationality. The permanent residency card, you are only eligible once you obtain 5 years of the 5 years of having the residency card in Portugal. But with the new law that was passed, the time that you and your wife were waiting for the cards to be issued will account for the nationality. So you'll have a mismatch in schedules with the nationality and with the permanent residency card. So my advice to you is roughly the following. You do know when the process did kickstart. So let's say that your process probably started around 2020, correct? Your golden visa process.
With me, yes, I believe it was back then. It was the dark COVID times. So much
let's
is
say
vague.
Mid 2020, your process was submitted. With this new law that was approved, and that the waiting time will account for the Portuguese nationality request, I would say mid 2025, you will be able to request your nationality. But the good thing about this is that you can request a certificate of accounting of time within AIMA, within CEF, that will tell you to the day when will you do the 5 years. So if you have the certificate, you will be 100% sure when you can deliver your nationality process. What I usually am advising to the majority of our clients is that you only request the permanent residency card if you wish. So it's totally optional, especially because I would say it's a tad expensive within the CEF or AIMA fees. It's around 7.8K that you need to pay for each card to be issued. Of course, the card does have a validity of 5 years, but let's say that in mid-2025, you request your Portuguese nationality. It takes 2.5 years to be granted. So the benefit of having a permanent residency card, if you're not living in Portugal, especially being an American, is not that much. So this I usually tell clients, if you do not need to come to Portugal often, and if you do have a passport that allows you to enter Schengen with ease, usually there's not the necessity of requesting the permanent residency card. If you wish to do it, you can do it. That's not a problem at all. But I don't see the necessity of it if your end game, if your end goal is indeed to have the Portuguese nationality granted. As for the last thing that you did inquire about, is it necessary to be a tax resident to obtain the golden visa to keep on renewing it? No, not at all. This is the beauty out of the golden visa. It's the only residency permit that indeed allows the applicant to have a residency permit without actually residing in Portugal. The obligation is to stay 7 days per year in the country. So you're only a tax resident if you do spend more than 6 months in Portugal. If you and your family stay more than 6 months out of Portugal, and this is the tax year starting on the 1st of January and terminating on the 31st of December, you will not need to be considered tax residents here. So tax residency, I would say it's optional. If you do live in, if you do stay away out of Portugal, you opt out for not being a tax resident. I don't know if all of this made sense, but let me know if you have any questions.
Yes, absolutely. If I may summarize it, and this echoes with the way I have been thinking about it, that essentially tax residency and permanent residency / citizenship are two separate animals and are not dependent on each other.
Correct.
In any way, shape, or form. Okay. And then if I still got a nickel on my questions here, shifting into the NHR thing for a second, as I understand it, I'm still eligible through the end of this year. I honestly haven't really been worried about that too much because I don't know, as much as I'd like to be a permanent resident of 365 days a year of Portugal yesterday, I don't want to completely abandon my family. And I may very well snowbird less than 6 months out of the year. And even after my kids are out of college, my wife and I may only be, 3 to 5 months and 29 days a year in Portugal, years down the road. If I did get enrolled in the NHR, I think it would give me some tax benefit, but I'm not sure it's going to give me really that much tax benefit as the years go by. And I know it's only good for 10 years. So I guess my question is, do a lot of people make too big of a deal out of it? I mean, I'm not so uber wealthy that it's going to make that much.
Good question. Good question. Over to you, Daniel.
It's indeed a good question, and the usual advice that I have for the majority of clients is you should have a tax consultation with a professional so the math is done. If you're not planning to live full-time in Portugal, basically the straightforward answer is no, do not become a tax resident, no, do not become an NHR, because basically you are stating that you are indeed a tax resident when you're not, and this is fraud. So my advice is, if you do not plan on becoming a tax resident, let's say coming to Portugal at the end of this year and becoming a tax resident at the end of this year and then starting on 2025, living full-time here, I would say to steer away from NHR and eventually as well the tax residency. If you do consider it strongly, you are still eligible for the transitory regime that will go until the end of the year. But until the end of the year, you need to become a tax resident, and you'll have until March 2025 to request the NHR if you do become a resident in this year.
But check out our business directory for that professional taxation consultation there, Jose. Thank you for your questions, because a lot of these I think are quite good transferable principles that other people might find useful. Is that everything for you?
Oh, I did have a couple other quick ones if I may, but I can wait if you want to loop through.
Yeah, let's come back to you because I've got quite a few piling up here. And thank you very much for being patient and putting those. And also your answer to Gilda earlier on about Canada. Simple answer, you said Canada's a frozen hellhole. It is expensive and has way too many people who think poutine is the same as Putin, which I've just looked up very quickly. French fries and cheese curds topped with brown gravy. Delicious. Right,
it's almost as good as Portuguese food. It's the best, especially in cold weather. There's two ways you can pronounce it.
Food. Yes, it does sound
poutine
like
or poutine.
A poutine, okay, it does sound like comfort food, and I can't think of an immediate Portuguese equivalent of that, although I might make that the last question this evening. Thank you very much for the time being, Jose Mario, and good work on practicing your Portuguese name already. Okay, let's go to Charlie. Hiya. Does the 6-month and a day requirement timeline for the D7 visa start after the IMA appointment, or is it for the calendar year of 24? Our visas were issued, this is for you, Gilda, our visas were issued at the end of December, and we were in Portugal for 10 days already this year, and we'll return to Portugal for 10 days before the IMA appointment in April. Thank you. Do you want me to read that again, Gilda?
No, I already read the question there.
Okay,
so it starts on the IMA appointment date, which should be the date that it's going to be on the issuing date of the card.
Okay.
If it's not the same date, it should be the date, the issuing date on the card. So it starts counting on that date.
Okay, there you go.
But don't forget that these 6 months and 1 day are for 2 years, not for 1 year.
Yes, we did cover that in the last webinar. Yeah, and that's really helpful. So thank you for that, Gilda. Let's stay with you. Alex asks, what is the work exception to the 6-month consecutive / 8-month interrupted for the residency period rule, please?
Well, there is not a strict rule on the law. So you need to show that for professional reasons, you need it to be outside of the country. And you need to prove with contracts, with tickets, with letters from the company, or if you work for yourself, with things that you had to do for your clients. So you need to keep the records of that.
Yeah.
And if IMA asks you to justify that, you need to make a requirement justifying the ins and outs and what were they for.
So the paper trail, very important. Make a record, then, Alex, there. I hope that elaborates, elucidates for you there. Tom Smith in Ohio, where it's foggy and 7 degrees, has a remarkable knowledge of Portuguese culture, albeit from Ohio, from that distance. Well, says Tom, Benfica knocked out Toulouse in the Europa League. So it's all about the Portuguese teams then in the European competitions this year. Sorry, Steve. We will come back to you because there was a question for you. But before then, Debbie got in and asked the question in the visa meeting I mentioned that I had at VFS DC, which is a great milestone, and we were celebrating that. It was only this morning. My agent said when I handed her the sealed FBI envelope, which just sounds so grand, doesn't it? That now the embassy is requesting apostilled FBI reports, but she also said they may accept my sealed one. Has anyone been hearing about sealed but non-apostilled FBI reports being accepted or rejected? You're the best person to ask on that, Gilda, obviously.
Yes, it has always been like that. They ask either opened with apostilled or sealed envelope without apostille.
All right, there you go. Nothing unusual about that then, Debbie. Hope that helps. We've also, let's go back to you, Nuno. Thank you for the time being, Gilda. We've got a question from Susie for you, but I just want to ask, picking up on Nuno and talking about extreme weather at the moment. Speaking of the weather, I see yellow alerts, orange alerts, and red alerts. I guess those refer to how bad the weather is about to get. And that's absolutely right, isn't it? If you could give us a brief introduction to that, Nuno. We're not just talking about heavy rain, are we? We're talking about sort of some extreme weather conditions that might be coming into Portugal around about now. And there is that kind of traffic light system, isn't there?
Yes, and it's not only related with rain or winds. It's also related with the probability of having a fire during summertime. So every time that we can face these kind of risks due to the weather, yeah, the Proteção Civil, they put all of these yellow these colors to
notify
to indicate
people,
the severity of what we are facing.
Now, in the summer, you're going to be looking at fogos.pt, fogos.pt, and it escapes me the name of the meteorological website escapes me. Nuno, what's the name of the website for all the weather conditions that are incoming?
No, I'm not sure. I
can't remember it. I will find out at the end of the. Oh, go on, Carolina.
Yeah, it's IPMA.
IPMA, of course it is.
Yes,
IPMA,
thank you.
that's right.
Thank you, Carolina.
Just like the Kung Fu character, IPMA 1 and IPMA 2. There, some will know that reference, others won't know what on earth I'm talking about. Thank you, Carolina, though, for that. That's wonderful. Now, Susie asked a question. This is probably for you as well, Gilda, tonight. Cheers, Carolina. This is about bringing bags through into, I think, into the airport here. And Susie, I can't find it now, but this is about the number of bags, I think, causing concern on arrival. Is that likely to happen coming into customs at the airport there? Yes, when we enter Portugal with our new visa for the first time with lots of bags, lots in capital letters, will that cause any red flags coming through immigration at the airport in Lisbon? We will have 8 suitcases between 2 of us. Now, some people do it that way, don't they? Is that likely to cause problems, Gilda?
No, it never happened before. Bring everything.
Okay, people, they're quite used to it at Lisbon Airport.
Yeah.
That's why they need a bigger airport, isn't it? Because of all these people who come through with 27 suitcases.
And if you need help with picking up at the airports, you can ask us.
That's a good little plug, isn't it, for the EI service, picking people up in the van there. Very good. What date, staying with you, I think again here, Gilda, what date, says Gail, would be used to determine the effective date for my Portuguese tax residency, the date of my entry into Portugal, the effective date of my D7 visa, or the effective date of my residence permit? Great question, Gail. Thank you for that.
It will be the date that you choose to change your tax residency into Portugal. And you can do that once you have your visa and you have your rental agreement. So you can choose.
Excellent stuff. Very good there. You can choose, Gail. And thank you for your correction to Jose Mario there. I'm sure he'll see that in the chat as well. We are seeing Debbie's delight in real time here. I just got a text saying my application is being processed from a certain number. I hope that number is VFS or the embassy. The number doesn't come up in Google. We can get a sense of your excitement here, Debbie, tonight. Oh my goodness, you say, yes, that was VFS and not a scammer, because I also just got an email with my reference number. So excited. Thank you for sharing. Isn't that brilliant that we're getting that shared with us by Debbie this evening? LaRonda, quite keen on the poutine. I'm definitely going to be asking our Portuguese panel tonight what the equivalent might be of chips, cheese curds, and gravy, which is going down very well in the chat tonight. And then we'll see what the equivalent comfort food is for Portuguese people. I've got my suggestion, which I had today in Intermarché. I will share with you. Timothy Byrne, thank you. I have a VFS appointment at the end of April, and I'm traveling to Portugal at the end of March to look at and sign a lease agreement. I plan on moving to Portugal in June. My question is, does the lease agreement need to have an effective date before my VFS appointment in April, or can the agreement have an effective date as long as it's before my leave date in June? Another great question there. Thanks, Timothy.
It can be, it can have an effective date after your appointment.
Okay, there you go. That's nice and simple for Timothy. Going back to Jay. Jay, thank you for persevering on this issue. No problem at all. You don't need to apologize. We aim to bring clarity. That's what these evenings are all about.
I'm sorry. Let me just clarify something.
Right, nearly, Jay. We will get there, I promise you.
But I'm sorry. But in that case, I would put all the documents related with the rental agreement with okay. A very complete package.
All right, good. There you go, Timothy. Jay, now, don't need to apologize, but we think we are close to a final and clear answer. Time permitted to be outside of Portugal once the D7 is granted. The 6-month/8-month rule is maximum permitted to be outside the country during each visa period, not the minimum, right? Required to be within the country. Is this correct for Jay?
Yeah, the maximum outside the country during the period.
Okay, there you go. I hope that helps now. And thank you for persisting.
It's on every program.
It is, isn't it? It's a classic. It is
every program.
But it's kind of, for some people are wired with numbers. Some people are wired with images. And for some people's minds, it's just really hard to get your head around that. I think you'll agree. We all learn in different ways, don't we? So, and we really don't mind reiterating that. Thank you, Gilda from Debbie. One less thing to worry about, the sealed but not apostilled FBI report. That's fantastic. Hello, do we have clarification about crypto professional traders, or it's still foggy? The last news was that officials could consider you a professional trader and on not a specific basis with no certain amount of trading or frequency. What's the news about crypto people and their taxation status? Is that for you, Daniel, or for you, Gilda, I wonder?
I think this is more of a Gilda question. I haven't heard any news on the crypto scene for a substantial amount of time.
Okay.
Gilda, do you have any?
I think everything remains the same.
Okay, so foggy. Sorry,
Yeah,
Zoom user,
foggy.
we can't give you anything clearer than that. It's just like the Portuguese weather tonight and this morning, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Susie's grateful for the question about luggage. Diana has a simple question, I hope. What is the process for a US resident, non-EU resident, to obtain a NIF? Specifically, must the US resident have a Portuguese fiscal representative for the initial NIF application? What's the situation with that, with fiscal representatives now, Gilda?
It's a little bit funny because
Oh, I feel a song coming on. Elton John is coming to Portugal soon, isn't he? He'll be singing that soon. Go on. Sorry.
because in fact for European citizens and now even this rule that you don't need a tax representative, but one thing is what the law says, the other thing we know it's in practice. For the European citizens, if you go there, you need to give a proof of your address in Europe. And then they are going to send the correspondence to your address in Europe, like your password, which is not going to be very practical. Or you can try to convince the person to give the passwords in your hands. But that will depend on the goodwill of the person that is going to receive you on the tax office. And then it will also depend if it's going to give you the appointments or not the appointments, or if you're going to accept you or not. For the countries that are not part of the European Union, I never was able to see any of our clients getting a tax number without a tax representative.
Okay, so there you go.
Even though if they say, I'm not going to work and I don't have a property, they say, oh no, but we cannot give you one.
Okay, and the complication with tax representatives is making sure you still have access with through the person or beyond the person who is your fiscal representative. And by that I mean they have your logins, don't they, to set you up and give you access to the system. And that's a kind of weird data protection thing for one thing. And presumably people sign that off to their fiscal representatives. But you really want to make sure you can get those details right, Gilda, for the future.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I think that was simple, Diana. We shall find out. Steve. Oh, and bon night over on YouTube to Steve Merwin. Let's go to Steve Flack. And Gina Fiore is there. Hi, Dream Team. My question is for Steve. I did not ask my bank in Portugal when I opened my account back in the US if there was any interest in bank accounts in Portugal. Or in Portugal. And that's a bit off your radar, really, Steve, isn't it? On whether current accounts in Portugal give any interest, which they probably won't.
Unfortunately, it's not something that I'll be able to answer as much as I would love to. So.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. We'll ask the Portuguese about that. But I mean, is there anywhere in the world paying high interest in a current account? That doesn't happen with. I mean, this does get asked occasionally, Steve. If there's any interest on money held in Spartan FX accounts, that isn't the case, is it?
No, they're non-interest bearing accounts, unfortunately. Obviously, we don't have any fees for holding your money with us or anything like that. So if you've got money here, we don't eat into your money or anything like that. But no, unfortunately, you don't actually earn interest on the accounts with us.
All right. So thanks, Steve, for that. Gina, thanks for the question. Daniel, Nunu, Gilda, what would you say to somebody looking to earn interest? Carolina, or Camilla, for that matter, wanting to earn interest on a Portuguese current account? It's not going to be happening, is it? They charge you for holding the money. Yeah,
that's true.
I think, and it's around €8 a month, and so you're not going to be seeing much interest coming in.
Banks in Portugal, they charge us to have the money.
Yes, there you go. Sorry, that's bad news there, Gina, for you. Okay, let's see what's going on. I'm loving the poutine question, which we will get to. But before that, let's see if we can help any other people. Jay, that is clear for Jay. That's fantastic, the 6 and 8 month thing. You have another question. So compliance with D7 requirements, the maximum of 6 months / 8 months out of country, equals tax resident then? Is that technically the case, Gilda?
Sorry.
The question was from Jay. So compliance with D7 requirements, meaning that you have a maximum of 6 months / 8 months out of the country, automatically means you become a tax resident if you're going to be in the country. Yes. So there you go. Thank you very much for that, Gilda. Daniel from Carlos and Lisa, good to see you both here. If Social Security is your only source of income, could all or partial of this be taxed by Portugal, double taxation, or is that another one to refer to the taxation specialist, Daniel?
Well, it does depend if the pension is public or private. So yes, I would say that an accountant should do the math, because there's an agreement to avoid double taxation between Portugal and the US and other countries. But it does depend on the source of income, although it all may be a pension, but the type of taxation does vary accordingly to the nature of it. So indeed, consult with a professional to do the math before you jump ship. And sometimes the taxation is not a killer, and some other times it may be harmful. So study that bit before committing and coming to Portugal. In the majority of times, I think it's not going to be a killer, but still, I think it should be studied beforehand.
Good advice. Thanks for the question, Carlos and Lisa. Thanks for the answer. Daniel, let's stay with you. Zoom user, may to apply for permanent residence with the application for Portuguese nationality. Do I need to issue criminal certificates separately for each process of permanent residence and Portuguese nationality? We've been dancing around this issue for the last couple of weeks, haven't we, Daniel? Maybe you could clarify again for us.
Well, what the Portuguese law basically states is that a criminal record should be delivered for each country that the person has lived.
Yep.
And sometimes for people that travel quite a lot, this may be impractical because you have 5, 6, 7, 8 different criminal records that should be delivered. So on a practical level, what I usually recommend is if that person lived a long time ago in a country that is not their own country, so the country of nationality, in the majority of cases, I don't think that not delivering that criminal record will do a difference in the application. It will not stall it. But if in the passport, in the current passport that is delivered to the People's Registry, the Conservatoria here in Portugal, if in that current passport is easily perceivable visas and long times of permanence in other countries, then definitely you will need to deliver those criminal records. So short answer is, if I pick up your passport, can I perceive that you have a residency visa from China? Then yes, you will need to obtain the criminal record from China and from the US to deliver the application. If I pick up the passport and I don't perceive any visas on the outside or outside of your country that you have the passport, then I don't think it's necessary to deliver those documents to the People's Registry. And in full effect, the People's Registry will not have a way to ascertain if you lived outside of your own country unless they can detect it in your passport.
There you go. Thanks, Daniel. Great answer. Let's stay with Zoom user. I don't completely understand this question, but it does raise quite an interesting point about videoing people in the streets of Portugal and in public places, which I think Daniel may have a view on. And Nunu might have a view on as well, because a lot of cars now are recording people all the time. I don't know where that sits within the law. Zoom user is saying, for example, if I had an accident with a car when biking, may I start a video if the driver starts screaming and trying to threaten me? Now, what is the situation with videoing other people in public life here in Portugal, Daniel?
Well, it's complex. It's not a straightforward answer on that one. If you are in the middle of the street and nothing is happening, but you are videoing someone, a specific person, and following that person with a phone, this is not permitted. Because you're not filming the background, you're not filming people passing by in the street, you're filming that specific person and probably harassing him. So this is not permitted. But if something strange is occurring, like the situation you described, an accident, something that's filming is a way of obtaining a proof to deliver to court, as long as it's in a public space, then you're allowed to film. You're not allowed to film, though, inside people's properties or inside a shopping mall. So if it's private property, you need consent and authorization from the property owner to film. So it's nuanced. It's not a straightforward answer. And in some specific situations, I've seen that, for instance, cameras in buildings that do not have the correct authorization from the data protection authority here in Portugal, then they film stuff. They shouldn't film it. It goes to court and the full process falls down because they don't have the correct authorization to do so. So it has a lot of nuances because of data protection, and as long as you're not harassing anyone and you're in the public space, I would say that you can film any occurrences. If it's private property or you're following someone around with a cell phone, then I would say it's not
quite right
not,
too, right? Yeah, that could be
right?
harassment and stalking. I had the fright of my life when I realized the other day in a supermarket that there are signs up saying no filming inside the supermarket. Now, I've made films inside the supermarket trying to be helpful to show people this is what a Portuguese supermarket looks like. And I'm realizing now, Daniel, that the evidence is still up on YouTube. So I might need your help with that.
Well, hopefully not. As long as you're just filming the supermarket, I don't think that Continent will chase you and say, "Oh, retrieve us the film." I don't think that will happen. Is that prohibition to not having people filming is to avoid the thing that I was describing. Someone following some other person doing the shopping. Let's say a well-known politician that is just buying groceries and someone is following them with a cell phone, is to avoid those types of things. But for the stuff that you do, recommending Portuguese products and whatnot, I don't think you'll be in trouble. But if you do, you know my number, call me. Better call Daniel.
I'm sure the butcher, as I went past him, went like that. He was happy. He was happy. Nuno, would you like to add anything on this from a car, with a Tesla it's like videoing everything all the time, isn't it? What's the situation with the modern cars that are collecting this data all the time?
Yeah, so as Daniel said, this is not a straightforward answer. So if the car came with the cameras, yes, it's okay, be filming 24 hours a day. Otherwise, you cannot buy a camera and put the camera in your car filming. So it's not allowed. So yeah, Portugal.
Thank you very much for that lack of clarity. All right, brilliant. Let's go a couple of quickies there before we go back to the poutine question. As Charlie mentioned, we received our D7 visas on the 29th of December of 23, says Grace. We've entered once in January and will return more permanently the first week of April for our IMA appointment on the 18th of April. We believe we're eligible for the NHR. Do we have the rest of the year to apply to the 31st of December 24, or does it need to be done within a certain amount of time after our IMA appointment or after we receive our actual residency cards? Gilda?
They can apply until the end of the year.
And the other bits are irrelevant. You've got by whichever means you've got until the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. There you go, Grace.
But I wouldn't wait last minute.
Like so many things here. Don't keep pushing it back. It's a chore that needs dealing with. So do that ASAP there, Grace, as soon as you possibly can.
Don't do the Portuguese way.
No.
Yes, just after lunchtime on a Friday, on the last permissible day. Don't leave it till that moment. A question on changing the NIF address. I emailed IMA, says Lex, about my address change, but never heard back on confirmation. I know they aren't known for responding, but I need proof of their confirmation. Obrigado. So what does Lex do, having notified a change of address for the NIF, but not hearing back? Is there the sending of their email sufficient documentary evidence, Gilda?
If it's the changing of the address in the NIF, it's not with IMA. It's with the... it's with finances.
Okay, which I called Finania earlier on today. I don't know if people will understand that reference, like Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, Finania, but there are some similarities. It's kind of icy cold in there sometimes, and there are strange mythical beasts wandering about, and you're hoping for a happy ending. Thank you, Daniel. Right, so FWIW in the USA, where there are rules against recording. It is always permissible if one feels threatened, says Jose Mario, or in otherwise in danger. I suspect the same exception would apply in Portugal. So thank you for that addition there. That's very helpful. Tom says, by the way, Braga is through. Is that a spoiler? And it looks okay. I don't want to spoil anybody's football fun because we've already done enough of spoiling people's football fun tonight. Sorry, Steve. But a nice thing for you, Steve, from Steve Merwin in the YouTube chat. Hello, Steve Flack from Steve Merwin. I've had a great experience with Steve and Spartan Effect, so a nice little testimonial for you there. Belinda asked, my brother has a D7 visa residency and his health insurance through Medis from Millennium, but they will not return his phone calls. Any suggestions or options to make a medical appointment? What happens when that breaks down, Nunu, when it's something that's been sold to you through your bank just isn't working? What recourse do people have?
It's not easy, but please give me a call or send me an email, and I'll try to assist you with that.
What a wonderful
problem.
offer. So there you go, Belinda. Get in touch with...
Send me directly to me, nunu.mens. I'm going to put my email.
Oh, top man. That's really helpful. Thank you very much. The reason I asked this, says Gina Fiore, is we need to transfer for the residency process. Will it just be sitting there in an account? It looks like it. I was just curious, could we put in a cash deposit that has interest? Gilda, you must get asked this all the time. People transferring money, can they earn interest on it? Is there any way of doing that? Or does it just need to sit in a bank account where the bank are going to charge you for looking after it?
You need to see if there is any in the bank that you choose, if there is any savings account that will give you some interest.
So it is possible as an option, you apply for that once you've got your current account, don't you, as a kind of side account that you might be able to siphon that into. But don't be expecting to retire this year on the proceeds, I don't think. So there you go. Hope that helps, Gina Fiore. The Naunu, who we haven't heard from for a while. Hi, Gilda. This week I completed my 3-month, 60 business day waiting period for the D2 approval in India, notably there. What could be my options from here other than waiting? So is there anything other than waiting that the Naunu can do? That's for you, Gilda.
We can always try to make a letter to see what is the status of the process.
There you go, Nanu. So get in touch with Gilda. You can see the details on the screen there, or find EIA inside the Expats Portugal business directory. All the Dream Team members, by the way, are in the business directory. Wow, check this out, Gina Fiore. In Italy, I believe, Millennium has a savings account that can pay as high as 1%. Again, you won't be retiring this year. Another testimonial from Jay. I have had a number of interactions with Daniel and especially his associate in Porto Andrea. I cannot imagine more complete, more careful, more clear, and more proactive legal advice anywhere in any country. How about that, Daniel? You want to cut and paste that one?
Send a picture to Andrea, please. She deserves it.
I will take a picture out of this and share it with Andrea for sure.
That's fantastic.
Very much. Very kind, Jay.
Okay, so thank you, Jay. Millennium may be paying 1%. Nunu, you've got the insurer. So insurers offer a savings account as well?
Yes, they offer a savings account, long-term savings account, but also it's like a bank account. You can follow your account, your savings, through an app each day. So it's pretty much like a bank account.
Okay.
And there are some there are some banks that have these special accounts. So all of them have savings accounts, but working properly as a bank account, not many.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. And yeah, Gina, wow, a whole 1%. Well, we have improved on that up to 2.99 with Fidelidad there. Thank you very much, Dream Team. Let's go to a little bit of light relief on a culture question now. We heard about Putin. Actually, Jose Mario, this is a chance for you to come back to you and ask those extra couple of questions and then carry on with your Putin suggestion that you mentioned earlier on. So have you got a couple of quickies for us?
Excelente. Obrigado. Jumping real quick. It's kind of a 2-3 part question with the health cards.
Yep.
For my wife and kids, once we have hopefully soon our resident cards in hand, will they be eligible for the health cards with just that, or do we need to walk into an office with some sort of proof of residency address? Because right now my resident card address and presumably theirs will have my immigration attorney / accountant tax representative's office address on there. And I'm told, in fact, by the folks at Serenity, Michael and his staff, that it's not as simple as just walking in there, that I would need to have actual residence that has my name on some kind of bill, utility bill, or some kind of proof of address to get my health insurance card.
Do you want to pick that up, Daniel, as you've dealt with Jose Maria?
I'm not really specialized on this one, and I may need the help of Gilda, but with the residency card, you will be able to obtain the enrollment in the health center in Portugal. We call it Centro de Saúde. And usually it's connected with the address that you have in the residency permit indeed. But I think that you have a proof of address, like a deed out of the property that you probably purchased in Portugal. You will be able to.
I don't have that because I invested in a hotel construction project.
So you probably will need to enroll in the Portuguese system via the health center that covers your lawyer's office. But Gilda, do you have anything to add on this one? Do you agree? You're muted, Gilda.
Your question was if you need to have the health insurance for your wife and your kids.
No,
well, partially for that, if I may interrupt just for a second, I'm sorry, Michael. You've sort of answered my question, I think. Part of the thing I've run into is that it wasn't simple for Michael and his staff, because normally they just get it for you. And when I enrolled in that, and so I was like, And when I contacted my immigration attorney's office, they said, oh, sure, you can absolutely do it, but we charge $350, which I don't object to in and of itself, other than the fact that I have kind of a Depression era mentality. And if I do the math and have to pay that 4 times for me and my wife and kids, I sort of want to find an easier way, but I'm not really sure if there is one.
If I can shortcut this, Gilda, can you help with that?
That was just for them to get the cards on your behalf?
Yes.
You don't need help
with that, because we're running out of time now. We just need to find out if EI can help basically with Jose Maria, and probably for a lot cheaper than that, I suspect.
Yes, of course.
Here you go, Jose Maria.
Just get in touch with me. I just put my email there. Just get in touch.
How about that? Now, I'm going to pick up where we were talking about poutine, not to be confused with Putin. And there is this is a dish: chips, cheese curds, and gravy. Steve Flack, we've got chips and gravy and chips and curry sauce, which comes a close kind of competitor to that. Is that is that the closest thing in the UK?
Probably say so. I'd say chips and gravy is more of a northern thing rather than down where I am. But if anything,
something you'd have after an Arsenal game. All right.
Yeah, it's probably more chips and curry sauce rather than chips and gravy.
Chips and gravy, right?
That's it.
Yes, Steve. Thank you for being here tonight. Much appreciated. Steve Flack of Spartan FX, of course. If you want to open a currency account, do that with Steve Flack and Spartan FX. Daniel, what would you say? Chips, gravy, and cheese curds. Is it the francesinha that people seem to be talking about that will be the equivalent here in Portugal?
Well, yes, francesinha is lovely. I like it. Even in Lisbon, I have 1 or 2 places that are okay. It's not the Porto one, but that are okay. So everyone that visits Portugal, especially Porto, you need to eat a francesinha. Otherwise, you will not have the full gastronomic experience in Portugal.
Quite right. And there are chips, and there's gravy, and there's cheese in there. So it does replicate quite well. Vera. Do they have the francesinha and the refined Algarve down there, Vera?
They have. Sorry, I didn't hear you properly.
Probably not. Do you have the francesinha down there in the Algarve?
Francesinha. Yeah, we do have francesinha. It's not our traditional dish, but we do have some places with francesinha. Yes, we do.
And given all the British people down there, I'm sure you can get chips and gravy and chips and curry in the Algarve at certain places. Cheers, Vera. Thanks for being here. Find Vera and Mortgage Direct in the business directory. Thank you for being here tonight. Carolina, oh, look, you're being eaten as though you were chips and gravy by your dog there tonight. What would you suggest? Francesinha or something else?
like for comfort food, I was thinking about pork cheeks with
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you-
mashed potato.
Oh,
Very
that
nice.
does sound good. That does sound good.
Yes,
Nuno,
they are. And in
thank
the in Santarém, they're very nice. Santarém, excuse me. It's not Santarém. In Luso, sorry, in the Busaco area, very lovely.
Yes,
You
yes.
have to see it. They serve it very well, and it's very good for winter days.
Very good. With that water that they bring out of the ground in Lusa as well, in the Busaco Palace area and gardens. Lovely to see you, Carolina. Thank you for being here from Casa Portuguesa. Let's go to Nuno. Would you say Francesinha is the best equivalent of poutine, Nuno?
I have no idea.
I have
honestly, I have no idea.
Okay.
I cannot answer that.
Well, your favorite as a Boy Scout is just a tin of beans over the fire, isn't it, basically? So we know what you would probably as comfort food in the wild.
Just something to eat.
Just something to
Don't
eat.
need to be bent. So
cheers, Nuno, and thanks for your offering your help, and to Camilla as well from Winsurance. Get in touch with those guys. Very kind offer from earlier on, so much appreciated, Nuno and Camilla. And finally, then, Queen of the Visas, Francesinha, if you want chips, gravy, and cheese.
Yes, I love a very good francesinha.
It's brought a big smile to your face. I had a calderada for lunch today, which was skate wings and clams and peppers and potatoes. And it was in an Intermarché cafe. It's like grandma had cooked it in a supermarket. It was superb. And that was some proper comfort food in the rain today. Thanks, Gilda. Get in touch with EI through the details you see on the screen there. Thank you, all of you, Dream Team. Brilliant tonight. Over to you, Astrid. Let us know, if you will, what's happening next week.
Thanks, Carl. Great show, everyone. So next week at 7:30, we have a webinar for wealth management. So how to make your money go further if you're moving to Portugal or you're already living here. And of course, after that at 9 o'clock, we have another dream session. So yeah, come along. Let's do this together.
Great job. I think we all need to go and have a beer and a Francesinha now, don't we? I like all of that talk about those things. I think a few people will be trying to find those right now. Cheers, everybody. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye for now, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, Dream Team. Bye-bye.
Bye.